Department of Justice has announced that the 2019 FBI criminal investigation of Hunter Biden is still active. The FBI opened an investigation into Hunter Biden and associates in 2019 on suspicion of money laundering. Joining us now to discuss is former Washington Post and Wall Street Journal reporter Ron Kessler, who is also the author of the book, The Trump White House Changing the Rules of the Game. Glad to have you on, Ronald. Good to see you. I want to dive into a lot of this and what this means for Joe Biden. Before I do that, if the FBI opened up an investigation in 2019, the impeachment happened in 2019 as well. What's the holdup? What's taking so long?
Well, it is typical of a major case for the FBI to spend several years developing the evidence. And I think the fact that they have been doing this for a year does indicate that there is a major infraction here, which certainly would involve Hunter Biden and the family. We don't know whether it involves Biden himself, but certainly Biden lent his prestige and influence to furthering this whole scheme.
I just want to point out, too, that was investigative reporter James Rosen of Sinclair that confirmed that the FBI is investigating Hunter Biden. That is an active investigation. So going on that basis as well, you now know that the FBI has an ongoing investigation. You now have emails, you have text messages, you have photographs, you have video, all from the purported laptop of Hunter Biden. So this is a story, nonetheless. The press secretary for Joe Biden would not respond to the scandal when they were asked on Cheddar in this interview. Watch this.
We're not going to waste any time on this smear campaign because it's just another distraction to distract, again, away from 4 years of Donald Trump's reckless policies and his failed leadership. And I'm not going to accept the premise of the question. We have 5 days to keep our eyes on the prize. And again, that is to vote Joe Biden as the next president of the United States.
Ron, what do you make of this strategy? There's clear avoidance of this entire story. Don't even get us started on the censorship of it. But just from the Biden campaign moving forward, they don't want to answer this question. Smart strategy?
I think it's smart given that apparently there's a lot more to this, that in fact they were engaged in unlawful activity. Certainly the family was. Imagine if during the whole Russiagate witch hunt, if Trump had said, I'm not going to answer any questions about this, you can imagine how the press would have pounced on him. And here it's even more egregious given that the FBI really seems to have a case. So it really is a stunning example of how the media have prostituted themselves for the Democrats. We know that every day. For example, a few days ago, the Washington Post ran as the lead story the fact that Trump had forged an accord with Sudan, an historic achievement, but yet the New York Times buried the story inside the paper. That's just one little example. And so we see before an election, ignoring this story, and the fact that my friend James Rosen is a well-respected reporter, well-respected for his accuracy. He broke a big story about North Korean nuclear intentions, and that makes it even more egregious that the mainstream media are ignoring this, or every now and then they'll run a story putting down the whole thing with irrelevant information.
Ron, the investigation is ongoing, as we know, but does this, even though they don't answer questions, does this weigh on voters' mind when they head to the polls? 10 seconds for you.
No, I don't think voters are going to be impressed by this, even if it's brought out by the mainstream media. You know, it's just too complicated. It's not 100% verified. What is much more egregious, and again is being ignored by the media, is my story in my book, The First Family Detail, which says that when Biden would go back home to Wilmington, which he did several times a week, often in fact, always on government expense, he would insist that the military aid with the nuclear football remain at least a mile behind him in his motorcade and be traveling around Wilmington all day long. And during that time, if Obama had been taken out, which could happen in a nuclear strike, we would have been totally defenseless, because even if there was no traffic, the military aid with the nuclear football could not catch up with Biden in time for him to launch a counterstrike.
I'm out of time. Ron Kessler joining us live here. Thank you so much for sharing that information. You have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Newsmax TV is now America's fastest growing cable news channel. We give you the real news you need. So subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up. If you like this video, share it with your friends. Newsmax TV streams live on YouTube for free. Newsmax TV, real news for real people.